I'm happy to introduce to you the 13th head coach in basketball at SMSU, Mr. Mark Burnson. Come on up.
The story of the 1992-93 Bears began shortly after the previous season ended. Mark Burnson was elevated to the head coaching position and entrusted with the legacy of success that made Southwest Missouri State the 27th winningest basketball program in the nation. Four starters returning from a 23-win squad, hopes were high for an 8th straight year of postseason glory. The Burnson era would begin in Kansas City against the Kangaroos of UMKC, a veteran club coming off its first 20-win season as a Division I school. Seniors Jackie Crawford and Tony Graves were ineligible for the first 5 games of the season, so Burnson would need all his players to tighten up on defense to make up for their absence. Senior Dale Ribble did his part by holding UMKC's all-time leading scorer to a 3 for 13 shooting night. And sophomore Johnny Murdoch picked up the scoring load as he chipped in 21 points. The Bears held on for a 47-44 victory on the road. The team returned home for a 5-game homestand, starting with their Pizza Hut Classic. In the opener, SMSU downed Tennessee State 79-66. Then in the championship game, the Bears took on the Idaho Vandals. SMSU would take a 30-20 lead into the locker room, and when the Vandals tried to make a run at the Bears in the second half, Rodney Perry was there to swat away any real threat. With 5 minutes to play, Murdoch hit a 3-pointer to help put the game away. Murdoch would go on to earn tournament MVP honors. Perry and senior center Chris Albright would join him on the all-tournament team. The Bears captured their second straight Pizza Hut Classic with a 57-52 decision. 2 nights later, Towson State rolled into town, but found the going tough.
Lead in the ball. We've played just over 8 minutes. Here's Perry poking the ball away from Towson, and he goes in for a one-hand jam. A gorilla dunk, if you will, on this night.
Perry's dunk, plus the 4th annual appearance by the Phoenix Gorilla, got the crowd into the game, and the Tigers out of it. Perry would score a career-high 21 points. Albright, who'd missed most of the previous season with a broken foot, grabbed 7 rebounds and added 12 points of his own. SMSU was a perfect 4-0 under new coach Burnson. The 5-game first semester stretch ended December 12th as the Bears hosted Oregon State, the first Pac-10 team to ever play in Springfield. And the Bears were ready with their trademark defense, holding State to 18 first-half points and frustrating their 6'11 all-Pac-10 center, Scott Haskin. SMSU led 27-20 minutes into the second half when Albright got Haskin in deep foul trouble by drawing a charge. Still upset, the Oregon State big man soon compounded his mistake.
Clock still running. Here's Murdoch driving the lane. Pump fake. There's Hampton in his way. So back out to Albright from 10. No, Clint Thomas, offensive rebound. Hacks on the way up, and he'll shoot 2. And it's 4 on Haskin. And a technical on Haskin.
Haskin was gone with 17 minutes still to play. And with the middle open, sophomore Clint Thomas scored a season-high 14 points. Murdoch would lead all scorers with 21. SMSU was 5-0 after dispatching Oregon State 63-48. The turn of the semester brought the Bears back to full strength. But they would need all they could muster against Purdue, the first Big Ten team to visit Hammonds. A standing room-only crowd gathered to see if SMSU could upset the 15th-ranked Boilermakers. The Bears led for most of the game, thanks in large part to the great defensive job by Thomas on Purdue's Glenn Robinson, holding him to 2 points. And when Tim Axley blocked the big man shot, Coach Gene Cady knew he was in a war. It was a 2-point game as Axley stole the ball and laid it in with 4 minutes to go. But Purdue tightened its own D down the stretch and sneaked out of Hammonds with a 48-45 decision. The challenging stretch of schedule took the Bears next to Stillwater, Oklahoma for a meeting with Coach Eddie Sutton and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. OSU was a physical bunch, led by eventual Big 8 Player of the Year 7-footer Brian Reeves. On their home floor, the beefy Cowboys were too much to handle, and SMSU fell by a 74-59 score. One non-conference game remained, and it would be a big one, as SMS welcomed home its former coach. Charlie Spoonhour had taken over a struggling program at St. Louis University, but the Billikens were 5-3 as they entered the Temple of Doom. Another standing room only throng watched Bernson's Bears jump out to the early lead, but a late run by St. Louis evened the score at the half.
Come on, this is our damn half. Teamwork, 1, 2, 3, teamwork.
Spoonhour had been the creator of the Bears' trademark defense, and on this night, he was beaten at his own game. Ribble stuck to St. Louis's high-scoring sophomore Scott Highmark, holding him to just 6 points. Crawford began rounding into form after his layoff, and the Bears' other captain, Perry, contributed 10 points. SMSU pulled away to a decisive 63-52 win. The 6th year in a row they'd beaten their in-state rival. The record stood at 6-2 entering Missouri Valley Conference play. The Bears dropped their conference opener at Illinois State and returned home to take on Tulsa. 3 meetings the previous year had brought about great matchups between all-league guards Jackie Crawford and Mark Morse. Again, they did not disappoint, but others were well engaged in this game.
Murdoch on the wing, great pass into Graves for a monster jam! Oh, baby, what a slam by Tony Graves on the feet.
Having established the inside, the Bears went outside early in the second half. Ribble and Crawford both nailing threes as SMS opened up a 9-point lead. Crawford led the Bears with 19 points, and SMSU beat Tulsa 62-54. The team dropped its next 4 games and were at the bottom of the conference race looking up. But 1993 would be a parallel to 92. That year, SMSU had been in a similar situation when Northern Iowa came to Hammonds, and the whole season turned around. When the Panthers returned for 93, as Yogi Berra says, it was deja vu all over again.
Rebound was by Clint Thomas as he wrenches it away from blocker. Here's Perry, long lead, home run ball to Mike Davis, and he lays it in.
In the second half, reserve Michael Davis came off the bench and contributed a career-high 13 points. Crawford and Murdoch would combine for 37 points. It was all SMS, 72-49. And for the second year in a row, the streak was beginning.
Welcome to the home of the Bears, the Hammond Student Center. This place seats about 9,000. A great atmosphere for college basketball.
January 30th, a Saturday afternoon at the Temple, and an ESPN audience looked on as perennial Valley favorite Southern Illinois tried to nip the Bears' run of success in the bud.
And Bear Mania comes into play. The Temple of Doom has its effect.
Axley with a steal, waiting for support. He's got 3 trailers, and Tony Graves knocks it down.
The Salukis featured 1992 Valley Player of the Year Ashraf Amaya. They brought a 14-4 record to town for the showdown. But Bear defense again carried the day. SMS pressured the Dogs into 15 turnovers, and SIU shot just 29% for the afternoon. Murdoch's drive to the hole put the Bears up 7 midway through the second half. the turnaround was continuing as the Bears scored a satisfying 68-55 win. February began with a home court 54-51 victory over Wichita State. But the Bears then faced a road test at Indiana State, where they'd never won. The game was marked by torrid shooting. The Bears' first 12 points came on 4 threes by Murdoch. Two disciplined half-court teams playing to a 40-all halftime tie. The Bears led the entire second half, from Crawford's early steal and layup to make it 44-40, through Axley's offensive rebound leading to a thunderous dunk by Graves that put SMS up by 6. Still, Indiana State rallied to tie the game at 71 in the final minute. And on this career day, it was left to Murdoch.
Here's Murdoch from 22 again. Yes! Johnny Murdoch hits the 3 with half a minute to go.
His 8th 3 of the game, tying a conference record, gave the Bears the victory. Murdoch finished with 34 points and would end up breaking the Missouri Valley Conference record for 3-pointers in a season with 94. Now it was payback time for early losses at Bradley and Creighton as both teams faced trips to Hammonds in a 4-day span. Graves dominated against the Bradley Braves on February 9th with 20 points and 12 rebounds. Showed some versatility in the second half.
Here's Pollard coming out to the high post to beat the ball, trying to feed down low to Funches, and Graves overplayed, fronting the post, intercepts. He takes it all the way and scoops it in. Tony Graves stole the ball in the defensive paint, took it coast to coast.
Murdoch added 20 as the Bears breezed by Bradley 63-49. When Creighton came calling for its rematch, the Blue Jays tried to use their inside hustle once again, and it was SMS that wanted to speed up the proceedings. This they accomplished with some success. Creighton still proved hard to shake, but the Bears got the victory 65-62 and stretched the winning streak to 6.
Possession of the ball to Dale Ribble for 3. Wow.
After a 49-40 win at Wichita State, in which the team had arrived by bus in a blizzard 3 hours before game time, the Bears had gone from 1-5, last place in the Valley, to 8-5, and were now within 1 game of first. But on February 18th, they faced a crucial road test at Drake, the league's surprise team. It would be the Bears' first visit to Drake's new Knapp Center and their first encounter with the Bulldogs' amazing transfer guard, Kurt Smith. With 13 minutes left in a close game, Murdoch was poked in the eye and did not return. Thinking the Bears had lost their shooter, Drake coach Rudy Washington went to his zone. Enter the zone buster, Tony Graves.
Travel on Smith, and Tony Graves has had another throw net.
Always a good shooter, the 6'8 senior nailed a pair of threes, and the Bears opened up an 8-point lead. They hung on for a 71-67 victory. Drake's title hopes had suffered a severe blow, while the Bears, incredibly, were now just a half game out of first place. It was Hall of Fame night the following Saturday as SMS honored some of its past athletic heroes while making more memories at Hammonds. The Bears had their way with Indiana State 72-57, shooting 56% on the night, including a school record-tying 10 3-pointers, 5 by Murdoch, 4 by Crawford, and 1 by Ribble. It was the team's 4th game in 8 days, but no matter. They'd won them all. The streak stood at 9, and the program's record in February games in the 90s stood at 28-3. But 2 tough road losses put the Bears at 10-7 in the conference. The regular season concluded the following Monday night at home against Drake. Appropriate to the final regular season home game, it was a night on which nearly everything went right. The Bears blew out to a 15-point halftime lead. Axley got the ball to the rampaging Graves early on and assisted Albright later in the first half.
Axley trapped short of the timeline. 8 they've used. Now he gets it ahead to Albright, who drives in and dunks it with the left hand.
Murdoch had 22 points in this one. Graves 21 as they combined to push the lead to 17 early in the second half. All 13 Bears played, 10 scored, and SMS rolled 82-67 to clinch the 3rd seed in the conference tournament. Arch Madness in St. Louis. For the 3rd straight year, the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament would be held in the Gateway City, and for the 2nd year in a row, the site would be the Arena, home of 2 Final Fours. SMSU was the defending champ, and after a Saturday of 3 thrillers, the Bears were the only easy quarterfinal winner. They blitzed Wichita State 72-57 to sweep 3 from the Shockers on the season. Rodney Perry had been a star of the team's tournament championship in 1992, and he would again find the Arena to his liking with 11 points against Wichita. Crawford, the 92 tournament MVP, controlled play with 19 points, and Murdoch had 15 against the team from his hometown. The 2 previous semifinal Sundays in the Valley Tournament had resulted in overtime victories for SMSU, and the Bears were anxious to make it 3 in a row. Perry's steal and dunk late in the first half gave the Bears the lead, which was a tenuous 2 points at halftime. But Crawford was injured 14 seconds into the second half, and the Bears suffered during his 5-minute absence. The athletic and talented Salukis would end their string of near misses in the Valley by beating the Bears and going on to win the championship the next night over Illinois State. And the Bears would wait by the phone, hoping for a call from the NIT. At 9:57 p.m. on Selection Sunday, the call came. The Bears were in postseason play for the 8th year in a row, and they would host St. Joseph's from the Atlantic 10. The Hawks flew into Hammonds for what would be the 5th NIT home game at SMSU. Like SMS, they were known for defense, but the Bears showed them how it was done, challenging every shot, every pass. Sophomore guard Anthony Edwards, a solid contributor off the bench all year. SMSU led at the midpoint of the game, 21-19. The Bears' offensive success improved in the second half, but St. Joseph's didn't. SMS was 5th in the nation in scoring defense in 1993, but this night they carried that to an extreme, holding the Hawks to 34 points, their lowest point total since 1945. The Bears made it 12 wins in their last 15 games by thumping St. Joseph's 56-34. They were 1 win away from 20. They would have to earn it, sent by the NIT to Jackson, Mississippi. The Tigers had reached the second round by shocking Connecticut in overtime. Dale Ribble would draw the key defensive assignment against the nation's 5th leading scorer on a hot, muggy Mississippi night. The largest crowd in the history of Jackson State's Williams Center crammed into the building and made for a potentially intimidating atmosphere. But while Ribble kept Hunter in check, the Bears controlled play on the inside. Albright had one of his finest halves with 11 points and 6 rebounds in the first 20 minutes. The Bears came all the way back to take a 4-point lead on Crawford's 3 just ahead of the horn. In the second half, Graves hit 2 shots in the first 5 minutes to set the tone. He would finish with 13 points and 10 rebounds for his 5th double-double of the season. And Murdoch, the first SMS sophomore to make all-conference first team in 20 years, showed the Jackson State fans who the shooter in this game was. Ribble capped his big defensive game with a jumper to push the lead to 13, and the Bears walloped Jackson State 70-52, handing the Tigers their first home court loss of the season and extending the Bears' run of 20 victory seasons to 8, something never before done by a Missouri college team. They were on to the quarterfinals of the NIT, just 1 step from Madison Square Garden. Returning to Springfield just after 1 in the morning Tuesday, they learned they'd be headed south again on Wednesday to Alabama Birmingham. While the Bears had been able to smother St. Joseph's with their defense and control tempo against run-and-gun Jackson State, they'd now be facing a team with much the same offensive and defensive philosophy that they employed. The game was a classic, as had been SMSU's only previous Division I trip this deep into postseason play, a 1-point loss in Florida in the 1986 NIT quarterfinals. And the Blazers led by 3 at intermission. SMSU regained command shortly thereafter, building as much as a 5-point advantage at 35-30. After a run by UAB, the momentum shifted again.
Crawford drives the lane. Stanley Jackson there may have fouled him. Double clutch. Flip off the glass and in for Crawford. And a foul, and it's going to be against Robert Shannon.
The three-point play put the Bears up 43-40 with 9 minutes to go. But down the stretch, the home team did what it had to do. The season ended with a 61-52 loss in Alabama. It was a senior-dominated team that had succeeded in continuing the winning tradition of SMSU basketball. Ribble, the only fourth-year senior, came to SMS as a walk-on and played in 107 games, 75 of which the Bears won. Only 4 players in school history had participated in more winning games. Albright endured the medical redshirt year of what would have been his senior season to come back for another campaign, and he made the most of it, averaging 18 minutes a game, starting on 9 occasions, carrying the inside load early while Graves was out, then averaging 9 points in the 3 NIT games. As late as January 30th, Graves was averaging 5 points a game. For the next month, he averaged 17 and was chosen second team All-Missouri Valley. He finished his career as the number 4 shot blocker in school history. Co-captain Perry was the team ball hawk, leading the Bears in steals both his seasons at SMSU. A quiet, respected leader, his defensive quickness and his ability to dribble penetrate at the offensive end enabled him to fulfill one of the prime responsibilities of a captain, making his teammates better and helping them to succeed. And Crawford, the heart and soul of the Bears during his brief 2-year stay, averaged a steady 12 points per game both seasons, landing him in the top 20 of 2-year performers in SMSU history. But more so than any numbers could show, Crawford led the team by caring so much about winning and about them. Substantial losses to be sure, but Murdoch, who broke the school's sophomore scoring record as he had the freshman mark the year before, would return as the catalyst around which Burnson would plan 2 more seasons of success. From an uncertain 7-7 start to the satisfaction of a 20-win season and the Elite 8 of the NIT, where they were one of the last 24 teams playing deep into March, Burnson's first class of Bears joined those that had gone before, writing another glorious chapter in the storybook that is SMSU Bears basketball.